came and say hi when he walked in. Okay, focus. Where's the beat? I still gotta set up the tracks, man.
Don't be that guy. There's nothing worse than an artist catching a flow and then hearing from you, hold on, give me a sec, I'm still setting up the tracks and the beat. And that one sentence, the vibe's dead, energy's gone. And that hit song, it's probably gone too. My day job is making sure live events run without a single glitch. I brought the same zero fail logic to my recording sessions. Today I'm showing you 7 steps I use in Ableton, so that when the artist arrives, all you have to do is press record. We're covering everything from AI stem separation to low latency. Let's protect the vibe.
What do you think?
This is not an in-depth guide of every step, but more so a general overview and checklist of prepping for a studio session. I'm aware of some of the steps that are overlooked. Thank you for the understanding. Like and subscribe.
So since I can't use the artist's beat here on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and make mine really quick from Splice. And here's what that sounds like. Okay, so you open up a new project. First thing you want to do is save as. I usually have all my projects saved in an Ableton folder, and within that Ableton folder, there's a year and then the artist name, and then that's where I save the track. So I'll usually have the artist name, the track name, and then I'll do V1. And if I have to save another version of the track, I'll do V2, V3, so on and so forth. So let's say you downloaded the beat on the internet. It'll usually go to your downloads folder. So once you go to downloads, we're going to open up a new window and take the beat and move it over to the project folder. Within that project folder, we are going to move the beat into the samples folder. This is so the project can identify where your beat is. So now we're going to go ahead and move the beat into the project. I like to give a little bit of space at the beginning of the project. This is so whenever the artist gets here, I can press record. They have a little bit of lead up to the beat before everything starts. Next thing you want to make sure is that your beat is aligned to the grid. If it's not, you want to press the clip and add warp markers throughout your beat to make sure it's aligned to the grid. This is just to make sure you don't have any headaches later with trying to add delays or getting your vocals to line up and doing punch-ins and punch-outs. It's pretty standard stuff, but it's a part of the process, so I feel like it needs to be said. So as of right now, I'm using Ableton 12.3.2 with its integrated stem separation. Recently, I was using Fruity Loops for stem separation. If you have an older version of Ableton, you can also go online and find stem separators there. I only expect this to get better, but what you would do is press the clip, right-click, separate stems, and this will give you the option for vocals, drums, bass, and other instruments. The reason why we do this is so we can kind of mess with some of the stems before the artist gets here. For example, if I want to carve out space from all the other instruments so the vocals sit nicely in there, I would go in and add an EQ, take out some mids, so whenever the artist gets here, their voice is popping through the mix. So even just a few years ago, we didn't even have the option to do stem separation. So say, for example, the drums in the mix were really quiet. We couldn't do anything before, but now we have the ability to turn them up, process them, so when the artist actually gets here, the beat sounds better than what they've been hearing. This contributes to the overall flow of the studio session and the creative environment. That being said, be light on the processing, do basic leveling, light compression, EQ. The point is to get this beat sounding better than what they are hearing. So whenever they get in the booth, they reach a flow state, they get into a creative process. You do not want any glitches, pops, you do not want any downtime. You want to make sure this artist can get into a state of mind where you can get the best recordings out of them. So now that we've done some light processing on the individual stems, we're going to focus on the vocals. So the main point here is to make sure we do not have any latency issues. That is when they talk into the microphone, there is a delay from what is actually being heard into the headphones. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to preferences, which we can press Control, comma to get there. Then we're going to go to audio and input config, and we are going to turn on the input where we will be recording from. So we'll press OK. And then from there, we will be going into our hardware setup, and we will be using the lowest buffer size that we can. For me, it's usually 256 or 128. It depends on your computer and the processing that you have on your tracks. Now, say, for example, you are still having some type of latency issue. You can do reduce latency when monitoring, which is in the options at the top, or you can go down to the bottom right, which is right here, and you can press performance impact, and you can actually see how each track is affecting your session. So if this track right here was giving me issue, I would just go in and either delete the plugin, delete the track. It would be the plugin that is causing the issue. But at that point, that would hopefully fix my latency problems I would be having. And so this brings me to the next thing, which are the vocal tracks themselves. I like to have a vocal center, a vocal left, a vocal right, and then ad lib 1, and then an ad lib 2. And then if I go within to those, I have take 1, take 2, and a take 3 for each one. The ad libs, I only have 2 take lanes. I have these so I can comp together vocals in the future, but usually whenever I loop through recordings, I can just press record and they'll go to the next take lane and to the next take lane. And even if you only have 3, if you keep on recording, it'll keep adding those lanes for you. And one thing to mention here, if you go to arm a track and you press another one and that one arms as well, you can actually press on the record button and right click it and do arm exclusive. Now it should be either or. And also, if you go to your audio tracks and you don't see any take lanes, you can right click that audio track and show take lanes or insert take lanes. I like to have these things preset so I don't have to focus on the technicals when the artist gets here. I can just focus on them and getting the best takes. And this is just a general overview of things I do before a session begins. I know we can go more in depth with certain things like tracking MIDI and maybe even doubling and things of that nature. But I just wanted to make a quick checklist and show you how I prepare a session to foster an environment that allows the artist to be themselves without having to wait on you to set up the technicals or have any type of downtime where you're troubleshooting issues.
So the next step is probably the most important, and that'd be proper gain structure. Improper use of gain could cause digital distortion, bad, or a high noise floor, also bad. These next clips I was able to record at work, so I'll do some more voiceover to talk you through what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. Okay, make sure your audio interface or mixer is turned on. And we're gonna make sure the mic is plugged in, obviously. And if you have a condenser mic, you're gonna wanna turn the phantom power on. And if you work at a place that has any ribbon microphones and you use phantom power, turn the initial preamp up a little bit. We're gonna be aiming for negative 10 dB. The reason for this is just in case the vocalist has a dynamic voice, we wanna make sure there's a little bit of headroom. This is too quiet. Testing mic. And this is too loud. Check 1, 2. And here's a comparison of both of those. This is what a high noise floor sounds like.
And this is what digital distortion sounds like.
And here's a bonus tip. Get yourself a talkback microphone. It can be a $50 mic. It could be a mic that has an on and off switch. Those are pretty cool. If your mic doesn't have an on and off switch, you can go into Ableton, press Control K, and then map your on and off of whatever track that your mic is on, and then you can turn it on and off that way. Okay, so let's review. Made myself a little list so I can go through it really quick. Create and save the project in an organized way. Save the beat appropriately. Import and align the beat. Use stem separation and premix. Clean up the latency. Create vocal tracks with take lanes. And proper gain structure. It's a very important one. And oh yeah, get yourself a talkback mic. And that is everything that you should need to get a nice, easy flowing recording session going that promotes flow, promotes creativity, and that's how I engineer the vibe. Like and subscribe. I'm going to try to make it to 1,000 subscribers. That's the goal. Isn't that right, sleepyhead?